I'm finally gonna go ahead and address this. It's been way too long, way overdue. This is a common issue with F chassis BMWs, what appears to be sun damage, and it makes it very difficult to see the screen when you're driving, and it just doesn't look very good at all. I switched it on so you guys can see what I'm talking about. As you guys can see, the corners lifting, and quite frankly, it's embarrassing. Like, especially you have like a passenger in the car and they see this screen, it looks so bad. Also, visibility is normally not great if you're driving outside. Obviously, we can see better now because we're indoor, but once you're driving outside, like daily driving a car, you can't see anything. So I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to upgrade it for an aftermarket unit that has more features, better internal, is faster, just modernizes the inside of the car and makes the driving experience that much better. And since we are waiting for the headlights to come in to pretty much put everything back together on the F30, this is just the perfect time to make the head unit video just in time for the holidays. So the head unit we're installing onto the F30 today is from a company called Extrons, which a lot of you guys should be familiar with because I've made a few videos using their products. One installing their head unit on the E90 and another installing the unit on the E46 M3, and that was before I was even a vendor for their products. That's right, that's my plug for today's video. I sell these units on my website for the F30, E90X, E46, and any other model in between. So make sure to check out the links in the video's description if you guys are interested in getting one of these. So we're installing this screen today. It's a new product from Extron's Android 12. Screen size 12.25 inches, which is bigger than both options offered on the F30. Normally you get that tiny screen or the bigger screen, which is like 9 inches. This is 10.25 inches, so it's already bigger. As far as internals go and performance, this is like the mid-range one. So it has 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is more than enough, 64 gigabytes of storage, octa-core, Qualcomm CPU, Android Auto, Apple Carplay, all that fun stuff. So for an additional like $15, you can get like the top of the line model with 128 gigabytes of storage and 6 gigabytes of RAM, but it's only available in Android 11 and not Android 12 yet, which is why I'm using this mid-range one, because I wanted to have Android 12. It shouldn't make much of a difference, but I always like to get like the latest and best stuff. So as far as build quality, primarily plastic on the outside. You got metal towards the center, some ports here, some you'll be using and some are optional if you're using certain features. Micro SIM, micro SD slot right here. As far as durability, only time will tell, but I can tell you because I've used the unit on the E46 for over 2 years and the one on the E90 for over a year. Durability, reliability is not an issue, so I think it's gonna be fine. I did forget to mention that this is a touchscreen display. Let me show you guys what else you get in the box. All right, so here's everything that you get. The first set of wires here, auxiliary inputs, video, DVR. I don't normally connect this, I don't need it, but there is one, I believe it's this one for microphone. So if you're, if you want to talk to somebody on your phone via Bluetooth, then it might be a good idea to at least connect the microphone. Everything else, I normally don't use it, but in case you need it, it's there. And then this is the GPS antenna. I've installed, but you don't really need it if you're using the wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, then you don't need this. But if you want to use the built-in app that Extrons provides in the unit, then you're gonna want to install this and just kind of like tuck it in somewhere. For the E90, I remember tucking it in somewhere in the corner over there. Never used it though, because I always use Android Auto, but that's an option as well. This speaker, which to this day I have no idea what it's for, came with the one for the E90 and the one for the E46, but never used it. I think it's for GPS. I'm not entirely sure. It's very weird, but I know it comes with it. This is the main harness that connects to the existing harness for your head unit. Looks very complicated, but it's very easy to install. I'll show you guys that later on. You have some connectors here for USB ports. So the thing about this head unit, it's wireless Apple CarPlay, but when it comes to Android Auto, you have to use the USB port. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what's the reasoning behind that, but it's the same way I run it on the E46, same way I run it on the E90, and even with the newer units, you still have to use the USB port. Again, Apple CarPlay wireless, Android Auto wireless, and then you have this Wi-Fi adapter. You don't need it to connect to a hotspot, but I guess if you want to extend the range, then you can install this. You get 2 manuals, one specific to this car, installation instructions, and then a more general one that goes over all the menus and features within the head unit itself. And I guess you guys can see here what the screen is compatible with: F20, F21, F23, F30, F32. 2013 to 2016, very important, because 2017s, which I believe were the 340 models, have a completely different iDrive system, so this is not compatible with that LCI F30. This is only for the submodel cars, non-M. If you guys are interested in learning more about the head unit, like technical specs and other features that I didn't go over, again, I'm gonna have a link down in the video's description where you guys can visit our website and look at the product page, and I have everything written down about the head unit so you guys can make a better decision, assuming that you're looking to purchase one. Alright guys, so installing the head unit on the F30 is very similar to how it's done on the E90 platform. Use a pry tool to remove the dashboard trim. I like to start from the right side and work my way inside. There are two connectors on the back side that need to be removed. Just got to pull on them with a little bit of pressure and they come right off. Using a pry tool, remove the bottom cover located underneath the climate controls and remove the connector located inside. Now you have 6 T15 torque screws that need to be removed. The 4 that hold the median climate controls in place and 2 that hold the screen in place. Once you remove the controls, disconnect the plug that's connected right behind it. Now you have 4 more T15 screws to remove that hold the main computer in place. Remove those and pull the unit out as much as you can, being careful not to accidentally damage the interior trims around. I like to use a microfiber cloth. Now on to the not so fun part. There's only so much you can do to pull the unit out because of the tension with all the cables, but it's doable. Remove the main harness connector by lifting on the bottom portion to release it. Remove the fiber optic cable from the OEM harness and transfer it over to the included Extron's harness in the same orientation. Make sure it clicks into place. Now connect the Extron's harness to the OEM one and the male connector to the back of the unit. You might have to unplug some of the connectors from the head unit to better organize everything because it ends up being a spaghetti mess. Pull the screen out of the top and remove the 2 connectors. One requires a tiny bit of pull pressure and the other one you kind of have to press on it and pull it. Leave the pin connector up top since you'll be reusing it on the new screen, and route the rest of the wires from the harness up to the top. Plug the white connector and any other accessory items to the back of the new screen. The main white connector is it's relatively short and takes some patience to connect correctly. Just take a deep breath and take a break when you need to. Also, just like the E90, some cars require you to plug the included aux cable to the harness and run it to the aux port, which is normally located in the center console. I wanted a clean look, so I took all the trim pieces off to run the cable and looped it underneath and plugged it into the port. Unfortunately, with some of these cars, you have to do that process to have audio. Alright, so before I tighten everything up, put everything back together, I'm going to switch on the car and make sure that the screen works. Do not want to do this a second time. It's pretty simple on paper how to do this. The problem is that there's barely any room behind this unit, and the harness and the relay gets in the way, and it's really hard to get this to sit flush so you can screw on, little screws. So what I did is the harness, I tried my best to tuck it into the bottom left corner. The relay, tuck it into the right side right here, so it's like towards the middle. Back here is a little slot. But yeah, that was a pain because once you put this in, it shortens the wire or the connector that goes up to the display, and then all of a sudden you don't have any room to connect that up there. You're essentially just playing around trying to get it. It took me like 20 minutes just to connect it because I can't see anything. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it on just to make sure it works. And then you get the animation for Extrons. And then this is the home page. Looks like it defaults to the Bluetooth page. I'm very familiar with this layout because it's the same exact one on the E90. You guys are probably familiar with it as well if you watched that video. But you can control the screen with the knob here, the iDrive knob, or you can just use your finger. It's very responsive, very fluid. Like I said, 4 GB of RAM is more than enough. Anyways, now that we know it works, I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything up, put the trim back on, and then I'll give you guys a tour of everything that you get with it. Show you guys Apple Carplay and I guess some apps that I use frequently. As you guys can see, I'm running Android Auto wirelessly, so I was wrong. I thought you had to use the USB cable. I don't have to, so I didn't even bother installing them to the head unit. Got all the apps right here. Very cool, very convenient. I'll get Ali here to connect his iPhone here in a bit so I can show you guys Apple CarPlay. So again, you hold the menu button and you'll go to the OEM screen. As you guys can see, the resolution and the aspect ratio, I fixed it. So it's just like OEM, and now it fits the 10.25 inch display. So we can go to vehicle information, vehicle status, and then you have, right, if you want to measure your oil, check your tire pressure, or check control to see what's wrong. Of course, I have a million things wrong with the car because I have the entire front end taken apart. No headlights, no sensors, no fan, no nothing. So just wanted to show you guys that you don't lose any of the features that you have from factory. and then we'll just hold the menu button. For the most part, most of you guys are probably going to be using the same features, the same apps like Bluetooth, unless you got Android Auto or Apple Carplay connected, which is right here through phone link. HD video, I guess it kind of gives you a preview. You can watch movies on here. More apps, of course, because you can use the Play Store to download whatever apps you guys want that is normally available on an Android platform. You guys can see off camera, I went ahead and downloaded MHD for my car. Yeah, the startup screen is kind of weird, it's stretched, but once it starts up, it fixes itself. You see, now it's not super stretched. So I can go in here, I'm connected to the wireless adapter on the car. I can read some DME codes. And as you guys can see, you got a million codes because I got a whole bunch of things, again, uninstalled from the car. Anyways, you guys get the point. You can pretty much download any app that's available on Android. All right, so I have like 2 minutes to show you guys Apple CarPlay. So as you guys can see, there's no cables. We got wireless, Apple CarPlay, you got maps, soundtrack. Very intuitive. It looks pretty OEM. Whatever, it works pretty good. He owns an Extron using it. Look, his wife's calling him.
Oh boy, we're in big trouble.
There you go, so it works flawlessly. One question a lot of you guys probably have is how good is the audio quality? I'm sure that's very important to a lot of you guys. I know it's very important to me. I'm a huge audiophile guy. I love good quality music. I do have the Harman Kardon system equipped to the F30, which was the highest option you can get for this car at the time. So let's play a song here, and then I'll give you guys my thoughts after it plays. Yo, that sounds pretty damn good, and I promise you guys, I'm being very honest. I've always been honest for the last 5 years that I've been on YouTube. This sounds very good. I'm normally a huge believer that the original system always sounds better, and then you lose a little bit of quality when you upgrade to an aftermarket system. I don't think that's the case. I think it actually sounds a little bit better. There is a trick you need to do to make it sound very good. I showed you guys earlier that I routed the aux cable in here because that's how you get audio, at least for my specific car. But once you go to the OEM menu, right, and you see where it says aux, it gives you an option to increase or decrease the volume for aux. Guys, this adds artificial sound, which makes the audio sound very, very bad. So here's a tip for you guys that even rock the OEM system. Bring this down because you're just adding noise and just a bunch of clapness to the audio. Leave it all the way down and let the car use its system to power the music instead of this artificial thing. You can actually hear a hissing sound when you turn it up. This screen looks so good, and guys, it's very functional. The only thing I need to do is drive the car outside. When it's daytime, it's already dark outside, so I can do that now. And then I'll give you guys my final impressions of the head unit. So I was messing with the OEM display off camera, trying to figure out what causes this clapness. I found out that this is actual glass. We actually cracked it twice trying to remove it, and it's glued onto the device itself. So that might be what we see right here. I think that's just adhesive or glue that just fills over time with heat and age. You guys want it? 10 bucks.
We'll take 20.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull the car out to the light so we can see what the screen looks like, if it's visible. I don't have a backup camera, but if you decide to purchase optional backup camera or you have one optioned with your car, then you'll be able to see everything on this head unit. So we got the F30 outside. Screen visibility is A1. I do have the brightness setting set up to 100%. I opened up the driver's side window, passenger side window, and even the sunroof. It's not like the brightest day out today, but still pretty bright. And I can clearly see everything, and it looks really good. And I think it does a very good job against glare. So my final thoughts on the head unit. Well, driving back home yesterday, not in this car obviously, but I was feeling really happy that I installed it. I just love the quality of the sound that came out of the speakers with that particular head unit, the screen size, the resolution, how fluid it was. Can't wait to get the F30 back on the road just so I can use the head unit. Cons, but if you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, it kind of occupies both Bluetooth and like the wireless network. So you can't use that while connecting to the internet, like a hotspot. It's either one or the other. If you do Bluetooth only for your phone and then a Wi-Fi, you can do that. But you can do like Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and let's say connect to like an MHD adapter. It doesn't allow you to do both at once because those features use up both the network and the Bluetooth connection. Listen guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure and hit the like button. Check out the links in the video's description if you guys are interested in one for your BMW. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching. Until next time.